Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here at Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
My name is Ming Richardson, the compliance broker of Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
My giggle buddy today. So we want to kind of start off with, this past weekend is when the NAR settlement went live. And just to kind of make sure, most everyone in our industry does know what's going on, and that's okay, and we're totally fine with that. The big change is how that really impacts us. First of all, all buyers will need to have a buyer agreement prior to a real estate professional showing them a property. We also have to be ready as real estate professionals where we are going to negotiate compensation.
Our compensation, sorry.
Yeah, as part of the contract. And then as listing agents, depending on who your broker is and brokerage, and if you have the ability, are you going to advertise offers of compensation? Those are going to be the three biggies kind of moving forward and how that's going to work. If you've been into the MLS, you'll see that there's not a lot of changes on the FMLS side of things, but on Georgia MLS,
there's no more compensation field at all.
Yeah, and
you cannot even upload F-255, which is instruction to the closing attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So none of that is on the site of Georgia MLS or showing time or buyer press offer.
Yeah.
So
prop offers, all those kind of things. Yeah, exactly.
None of it.
So it just puts us in a position where, look, this is the way it's going to be. So let's just keep rolling here.
At the end of the day, the best practice, make sure you have your paperwork on file and that everything's signed. All the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed before you bind that contract.
Yep.
So just make sure you do your due diligence and ensuring that you're getting your buyer and yourself a fair shake on it.
Yeah. Now, this past week, we actually had the pleasure of being able to, we got to hang out with the GAR, the Georgia Association of Realtors legislative staff, and they brought us up to speed on some things that they're doing, or I guess some fraud issues that's going on
involving squatters.
Well, the first thing is that they passed some new rules about what you can do in dealing with squatters, and so used to be the squatters knew the loopholes and how to get it around, and so they closed.
There were TikToks.
They were teaching people how to do it.
Absolutely.
And so that has been squashed now. So if you have issues with squatters, make sure that or do understand that, at least in the state of Georgia, we because what we had squatters who were, basically printing false.
Quick claim deed.
Oh, no. These were false. My brain's not working.
It's okay.
False leases is what the squatters are doing, and they weren't real. They just show a piece of paper, and that doesn't work anymore. So that's been really, really good. Now, the other thing is on the false deed filings, we've had two big issues going on there, because there was this little loophole where people could just send in like a quick claim deed and that kind of stuff, and those deeds,
those quick claim deed was never validated, meaning the signature was never validated. The ID could be a fake ID when a notary sign off on those, because they don't know those were fake IDs. So now, guess what? The quick claim deed has to be filed in person by the grantor or by an association such as the attorney firm or any legal entity.
Yeah.
So no more somebody taking a quick claim deed to the court, say, oh, this property was deeded to me by my mom and dad, and leave out the other siblings. So no more that. It has to be the person who is the grantor physically go to the court, filing it with their license at the clerk of the court.
Or it has to be, someone that is an approved filer. Exactly. Now, one other thing that came from our little meeting was they turned us on to this brand new feature.
It's great.
Yeah, and it's
registered.
It's called FANS, FANS, and so if you'll go to fans.gsccc, 3 C's, a.org. And this is the filing activity notification system. And what this is if you own any real property that you own, go do this. And if anyone files a lien against you, does anything against, tries to do a quick claim, all these kind of things, if anyone messes with your property, you're going to get
You'll get a
noticed.
notice. So register on your phone as well. You can do it via text or phone. I actually
Yeah.
did it earlier this week just to test it out, and so I'm registered for
Yeah.
our. Just remember, it goes with your investment property, your primary resident, or if you want to get notification about your older parents'
Yeah.
property because you know that they may not be as up to par and their house is probably paid for. Do that as well, so the notes will come to you.
Yep. All right. Now, in the industry news, Zillow tracks a lot of real estate data, and they have this thing called the heat market index. This is where they measure, kind of what's going on in the market. And for the first time ever, it's kind of moved this early in the year. It's moved into the neutral territory, meaning it's not really a buyer's market. It's not really a seller's market. It's moving into kind of flat ground. And so, they're like, hey, look. And, their notification is like, look, sellers are kind of losing their upper hand. Doesn't mean they're in a bad position, but Zillow looks at it as, look, sellers are kind of losing their upper hand. And you can kind of see the other data points that really do support that, because if you look at the number of listings with a price reduction, it's pretty high.
It's almost 30%.
Yeah, I mean, almost a third of our listings have had a price cut. Now, what's interesting is we have another third that's selling really quickly, and those are the properties.
And that's because those property are priced correctly from the word go. So it is important for the selling agent to inform their client that we can try this route, but most likely with the current data, we're not going to move.
Affordability is the king, right?
Absolutely.
Now, even though that, Zillow was looking, and Zillow puts out its forecast, what's going on. And so even though they say we're moving into a more balanced market, they're still forecasting for Atlanta and as well as for all the U.S. Still positive value appreciation. And so that's a really good thing, both for our sellers as well as our buyers, because no buyer wants to buy a home that they think is going to be worth less next year kind of thing.
And honestly, the only thing that I'm seeing right now is that for buyer that the seller has owned the property for more than 4 years, they all have equity. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we have had a couple of sales where the seller is no longer able to afford a home, but rather losing foreclosure, they're actually walking away anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 when they sell the property and get a new start. So just remember, even though affordability may be an issue for that seller, does not mean that they're underwater. Yeah. Now, with that said, I will tell you, there's a couple short sales that currently is being discussed. So I do want you to know it's not the news or the dominant market.
It's a really small piece still.
But it is a conversation you as a seller's agent may need to have if the seller indicate that they're underwater. And those are for people who have bought within the last 2 years.
Yeah. We just saw, at the FMLS showcase, they had the big national economist, and they showed foreclosure data, and Selma it's still going down. So even though there may be some things like Ming said about, short sales and some things popping up, these are folks who have not had enough time to get their equity in. And it's a really small piece.
And that's what I'm saying. They have bought within the last 2 years.
Don't think there's a foreclosure wave coming, please.
There's not. And honestly, as a lender, they would prefer a short sale versus a foreclosure because the cost of foreclosing a property is more expensive. Not only that, at the end of the day, the lender knows that they will have to take a new value, pay the commission, everything else, and the attorney fee. So for them, it's easier just to do a short sale than go through all that legal process.
Yep. Now, in addition to Zillow kind of looking at their forecast, what's going on, Realtor.com also issued their forecast, and so they revised their mid-year, where they were looking at their forecast and said, hey, guess what? We're wrong about basically everything. And so they felt mortgage rates are going to be higher. They're heading lower. Existing home sales, they thought it was going to be down almost 2%. It's up almost 5%. Existing home sales, they were looking at it to be much more flat. It's up higher than they expected. Inventory, they thought inventory was going to be down significantly, and inventory is up They thought it'd be down 14%. Instead, it's up 14%. So, overall single family house. And so they just kind of revised all the things. One of the big things that they did revise is their mortgage rates and what they're looking at. And, the mortgage rates have kind of fluctuated what they've seen, but they were projecting at it moving down. And now they're projecting on it moving down even more. And the same thing came from the economist. Some have
CoreLogic.
Yeah. And then, part of it is because of inflation. Mortgage rates tend to follow inflation. And so as we're seeing inflation taper off, what are we seeing happen with interest rates?
Tapering off.
They're tapering off. And so we're under 6.5 on mortgage rates right now.
But some lenders are offering right now low sixes. If not, we actually seen one that Sharon did it.
Some in the fives,
5.85 last week. So, that's great news. But once again, your interest rate is based on your credit worthiness. So that does play in part of consideration.
Now, one thing we are going to offer a little bit of concern with is there is a time when ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, makes sense for you. But, we were also here when everybody was doing ARMs and low interest loans and no doc loans and all these other kind of things. And I realized that ARMs kind of got
bad rap,
wrapped in there with it. But we are seeing a overall uptick in the number of adjustable rate mortgages going out there. And, like I said, if it's a doctor, someone who's going to do a short-term loan and they're going to move up into it, maybe that does make sense. Just make sure your clients understand that if they are getting an adjustable rate mortgage, they may start off a little bit lower.
But it will catch up with them.
It all comes back around. And part of the power of being able to handle inflation and those kind of things is on a fixed rate mortgage, that mortgage payment stays the same. And home insurance may go up, taxes may go up, but your mortgage is going to stay basically the same.
And a lot of people take ARM initially is to gamble that the interest rate will come down, especially folks with 8% interest rate at one point within last year. So right now, would it make sense for them to refi? Yes. But, once again, are they still waiting for the interest rate to come down? Yes. And would it come down a little bit more? According to all the stats and prediction of the economists out there, yes, it will come down.
So we talked about this at our sales meeting, but Mike Dupree, he went out and secret shopped realtors and real estate professionals from around the U.S. And the information that they found was pretty staggering. We want to share it with you. And so, this is not inquiries into Zillow or Realtor.com or that kind of stuff. These are inquiries on our websites, at our open houses, calling us, agents, brokerages, that kind of stuff. And then almost half, 47% of all requests made by clients were never responded to. And if you don't need a kick in the gut, that's a big deal right there.
Well, I think some of the hesitation, and to some of our defense, I'm not making excuses neither, that we get so many fraudulent texts and emails sometimes that we're very leery about some of the emails.
I still take that but so many of us, I can walk through the office and you'll see an agent get a phone call and they'll be like, they won't even bother to answer it kind of thing. That
does happen sometimes.
And we can say, I think it's, obviously we disagree about a lot of things. And so, okay. I don't want that to be a cop out for us. If half of the requests are never responded to, we can't just say, we get a lot of spam. I agree. We get a ton of spam. But but we're also missing out on half of the clients.
Well, I would say that, if you treat your phone like every phone call you make or every phone call that comes in is $50, would you not want to answer your phone? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Do we have some folks that are just spinning our wheels? Absolutely. Yeah. But until you pick up the phone and made the initial contact, you'll never know. Yeah.
Now, they also shopped our open houses, and they found that 42% of folks at open houses, they never asked the person coming in for their contact information. No inquiry at all. They just got to come on in and see the house. That's
Hope
it.
You like it.
Yeah, that's fine.
You want to make an offer?
And then of the folks who came, 2/3 of them never got follow-up. No one followed up on the open house. why are we doing an open house if we're not going to talk to people when they come in, and we're not going to follow up with the folks who actually come in? That's just staggering to me. And another
you're doing this to appease the seller, but what you're missing out is an opportunity to gain buyers and potential other sellers as well, because some people do have to sell before they buy.
Yeah.
So treat it like a business. Treat it with a systematic follow up, and you'll never lose out on those.
Now, when it comes to like when people inquire of us on our website, if they reach out to us, about 28% of the time we respond in less than an hour. However, almost 50%, like 47% of the time, no response at all, zero. And again, I know that we get spam, we get a bunch of bogus email messages and stuff like that, but like, we're missing half of our clients, folks. We're missing out pretty significantly there.
We are.
So, well, I guess what we're saying is there's so much news going on. There's so many things happening. We've got the NAR settlement. We got this. What's going on with the MLS?
At the end of the day, you still got to take care of business and answer the phone.
Yeah. Talk to people. Build relationships. That's what's really important. So NAR came out and they also shared some interesting information. So right now, about 39% of all the families in the U.S. have a child under the age of 18. By the way, that's its lowest ever. And for your buyers, only 30% of your buyers have a child under 18. So 70% of your buyers don't have children. And so first of all, that's a big key to look at. But what's really interesting about that? 66% of Americans have so like almost double the number of people have, twice as many people have pets as have the children, right? So like, and if you're not a pet person, this can be hard to get your head around. But Americans today, like those fur babies, that's a real deal, folks. We got to make sure that we are paying attention to what's going on with our consumers, with our buyers and sellers. Back in 1988, it was only 56%. So right now, 2/3 of all your folks, buyer, seller, it doesn't matter, they have a pet, but only 30% got a child.
Just be conscientious.
So we always think about kids and that kind of stuff. Now, at the same time, if you look in just last 20 years, the number of people that spend amount of time that people spend with their pets is staggering. Like it's a big deal. Now, what happens when you spend a lot of time with your pet? Well, they help to shape the homes that you buy. And if you're not a pet person, you're going to be like, really?
Fence is important.
That kind of stuff.
Access is important. Room arrangement is important. So functionality for pets is important.
30% of unmarried couples made the decision on the home they bought based around the needs of their pet. So I get it. It's very easy to be like, pets aren't that important. Look, they're a pretty significant thing. As a listing agent, even if I have a house that has a fenced-in yard, that's a big deal. It's going to appeal to a lot more buyers with dogs. I know that there's a good chance a lot of folks have them. So just be smart about that, right? Now, we did want to also kind of share with you, like, have you gone through to look at who your referral partners are? We all have, like a lot of people, when you say referral partner, well, I've got my go-to lender. And if you don't, please, we'll be glad to help you. We have our closing attorney, same thing. If you don't have those, we have folks that we know and trust, but like it goes beyond that. Who is your go-to insurance? Who is your movers, house and home inspectors, home warranties, electricians, plumbers? Like, it doesn't seem like a big deal until you need that list. Like once you need it, then you're having to kind of scramble and find somebody. And I, we have personal experience where, I recommended a company and they did a terrible job. And then they blame me.
Your client's going to blame you.
So make sure those referral partners are right.
Honestly, that referral partner did a great job for one client, but for the second client, not
Drop
so
the ball.
much.
Yeah. So anyway, just be very careful, but also be prepared to deal with that, to talk to those folks, and to be able to have the right kind of referrals moving forward.
Correct. And find out what was a real issue, because sometimes it's just a preference thing.
Yeah.
So
I want to share a quick headline for, so there's a new headline out, and it's like, investor home purchases rise the most in 2 years. And you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty significant. And then you look at the data and you squint and you look at the really, like when you, I'm sorry, it's on the screen, but like if you just really squint in, you're like, oh, okay, it is up. And I know that we had several years down, but like we're talking about 3.4%. Okay. So we're not talking about this big, massive shift, like investor purchases rise more in 2 years. Okay, it is, but it's a little bit, right? So that's kind of where that's at now.
And just like the headline news about foreclosure, it makes it up 100%. Yes, 100% of 0.003.
Yeah,
I mean, really, come on.
Well, overall, investor purchases
and I'm
here
just
in the
using
Atlanta.
that number as example. It's not the actual data.
But investors bought 18.2% of all properties in the Atlanta metro area. And so guess what? In our area, it's down 1.5%. So we don't even get the little 3.4. We're still down. Okay. And honestly, they tend to buy a lot of our first time starter homes, that kind of stuff, but we are seeing more investor activity on the rise. It really does tie in with this also, that 60% of our single family landlords, meaning, and most of our single family landlords, these are small time, onesie twosie, kind of folks. 60% of them want to buy at least one investment property in the next year. And then at the same time, those same folks, about 39%, want to sell at least one investment property. So that means 100% of your small time investors want to buy or sell a property over the next year. That's a pretty significant thing. And if I worked with investors, I'd definitely be talking to them about all these kind of things. So now with what's happening with all the rate cuts, that kind of stuff, and speaking about our investors, builder confidence is down. And anytime builder confidence is down, then the number of new construction goes down. And we need that new construction inventory. We really do. So just understand our builders are very pessimistic, largely because of interest rates. So now that we're starting to see interest rates come down, I am expecting to see this number kind of tick up just a little bit. Now, as far as on the rental side of things, rental rates across the U.S. are down across the board, even here in the Atlanta area.
A smart landlord knows that not just the rent, but the overall, the cost of maintaining the four wall comes to utilities, gas, your basic essentials has gone up tremendously. So, if you topple that with rent, then there's really not a good option.
Well, what we're seeing is now these numbers are represented by apartments. These are not single family rentals. These are, 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 bed, that kind of stuff, all on the apartments. And those numbers are coming down. Now, that doesn't really bother me, because if you live in an apartment, you don't want to stay in an apartment. You want to get a home. And so that means that they can save more of their money. And I'm pleased to kind of see that moving forward. So don't forget that we have the Metro South Association of Realtors has the Real Estate Trade Show coming up on September 5th, not far away. Also, we have Tom Ferry coming up 27th, 28th, 29th. Some of our offices are already sold out. So please, look at joining us on there.
Please, if the one office is out, please try the other location. They're all within 30 minutes drive. And also, if you register for the first day, make sure you register for the second and third day, because each registration is independent of the other.
Yeah. Also, now, this week, we've got, on Tuesday, we have On Your Mark, Get Set, Go, marketing for, just real estate marketing for agents. That's going to be over in our Fayetteville office. And on Thursday, over in our Carrollton office, it's going to be Code of Ethics.
So those of you that needs a Code of Ethics for the next renewal cycle, please join us in Carrollton office.
So again, we hope that you guys have a great week. If we can be of any service, please call, text, smoke signals. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, and happy Monday.